Shalom everyone, very happy to be here and hope you had a great summer. And today I will allow you to ask any question you want, whether it relates to the topic, doesn't relate, doesn't matter. We can make it questions and answers. I can tell you that I speak for about 18 years all over in America, in Israel, Canada, Europe, and I have a very strong website. It's called Divine Information, divineinformation.com, which have many thousands of listeners every day from all over the world. I can also tell you that many Christians and Muslims who listen to the lecture wants to convert. I can show you hundreds of emails that I get every month. And the reason that it's so successful is because I found, with Hashem's help, a way to present the Torah in a right way. There are many big Talmidei Chachamim, big rabbis who know the whole Torah by heart, 1,000,000 times greater than me. But they present the Torah in a way that it only applies to people who have strong faith. They're born like that, they never ask questions, they naturally believe everything they are told. They're not challenging anything. So people like that, whatever you feed them, they eat. I actually appreciate more people, what we call today in our society, rebellions, off the derech, sometimes even go to worse words, which I don't want to mention. I actually appreciate people who have an open mind, and they ask a lot of good questions, and they don't just follow what they're told. They just investigate with their head, and they come to the right conclusion. Why I like this kind of people? As long as they're honest. Sometimes people don't really have questions. They only have excuses. So what answer you give them, right away they come up with a new one because they didn't even listen to your answer. This kind of people, not only I don't appreciate, I don't want to waste a minute on them. It's a total waste of time. But any person who has really honesty in his heart, which means he's really searching for the truth, what's the real purpose of life, how do we know Hashem exists, how do we know the Torah was really giving to us, how do we know the oral Torah is also divine, how do we know that faith, how does it work, how do we know what's the right way? There's so many different groups among Judaism that everyone claims they are the best. How do we know which one is the right way? All these questions for me are 100% legitimate. Anything. I'm the last one who will tell a young boy or an adult that your question is an apikorsiut or you shouldn't ask questions like this. The opposite. I encourage you to ask me any question you want. Why? Baruch Hashem, I have the answer to all these questions, and the answer is convincing. They're 100% proofs, no beliefs. In science, it's called, believing means not knowing. When a person says, I believe, that means he have a doubt. It's very difficult to be religious today, in our days, with what's happening on the streets, what's happening in the internet, what's the desires out there, the way people dress, the way people talk, what's happening in our world, business, fraud, materialism, all these things around us. It will be very difficult to be a frum Jew, to keep the mitzvot, if you don't have a very strong knowledge about Hashem, about the Torah, and this is the right way. Otherwise, if you always live with the doubt, maybe I'm wasting my entire life, it's very difficult to be strong, because I don't have to tell you the desire out there. So therefore, I made a few very successful DVDs and MP3. One of them is very famous. It's called Torah and Science. Every question you ever ask about faith, about knowledge, what's the right way, how do I know the Gemara is divine, maybe the rabbis made it up, maybe my Rebbe told me all kinds of stories that his father told him, and his father, and it's all, excuse my language, baloney. How do I know it's 100%, not 99%? 99% is still a doubt, still very difficult to keep. So this video, to the best of my knowledge, with many years of experience since we made it, every honest person who watched it right away come to the right conclusion. A, there is a boss to the world. He created everything. He's watching us. Everything we do, he writes. everything is recorded, everything will be judged. There is a solid proof here that not only the written Torah is 100% divine, there's not one letter extra there that was made by any human being. Also the oral Torah, what we call the Mishnah and the Gemara, the foundation of it, the foundation of all the Jewish law who transfer for thousands of years, is 100% divine. Person was unable to write some of the Mishnayos. You don't have to prove that all the Mishnayos is divine. It's enough you prove 10% of them is divine. It cannot be written by any human being. That's already a good solid proof. That you know there are Mishnayot that shows knowledge in nature that no human being whatsoever was able to know. No one knows all the oceans by heart. No one can watch all the fish, everything who moves in the ocean. 72% of the world is water. No one was able to write all his knowledge about fish, about everything who lives in the rivers, about the animals. 2 million different species of animal. There's total knowledge in the Torah about them, in the oral Torah, Torah shebe'al peh, about all kinds of things when the baby become a human being. Without sonogram, without MRIs, without the equipment that we have today, the Torah told you already in the 48 days the baby became a human being. And there was no way to know it unless if you're the creator of the world. And many other examples, hundreds of examples. I know all of you are young, but I promise you that even big Hasidic Rebbes that teach Gemara for more than 20 years, when they watch this film, they came to me and they said, for the first time in my life, I understand what I do 100%. Up to now, I follow, that's my tradition, my family, I don't ask questions. But today, I'm proud to be a Jew. Finally, I know I'm not wasting a minute of my day. And each one of you can come to this conclusion. And remember, none of you work for free. Everything you do, the reward that Hashem is promising people who follow His instructions are repeated many, many times in the Torah. It's endless reward. And it's better than any desire you may have in your mind. Better than music, better than trips, better than drugs, better than women, better than food, better than all of them combined, multiplied by 7 billion people in all the generations combined, will not be equal to 1 hour of the spiritual reward in the afterlife. As it says, יפה שעה אחת של קורת רוח בעולם הבא מכל חיי העולם הזה. 1 hour in the afterlife for the righteous people who listens to Hashem is greater than all the pleasures of all the people of all the generation in this entire world combined. Now, who would be the fool that willing to take a risk to lose such a thing for few stupid things that he runs after? Why people run after that? Why people are weak? Why people right away follow drugs and sins and women and non-kosher food and all kinds of other things? Why? Because they don't have emunah even 1% that it's real. Once a person knows 10, 20, 30% that it's real, no one would waste his life. Who? You know one human being, a Jew or a Goy, that willing to live 7 years knowing he's grinding water, knowing his entire life is a waste of time? Who would know? Who would do such a thing? Anyone would agree to join a company to work like a dog for a month, knowing in the end of the month he doesn't get paid? For free? They tell him, well, we're very sorry, thank you for your effort, no salary. You know, anyone would have known in advance that he's wasting his time that will come to work? Anyone would get up in the morning, everyone would suffer 2 hours in traffic if you know in the end of the month the check is not arriving? Nobody would do it. That's why this film is critical. So you have some of them right here. Then I had a debate with a Christian priest, a professor for Christianity. It's very interesting, very entertaining also. Many Jews who watched it, even from Jews, even born from, or Baalei Tshuva, or those who are traditional, or those who are secular, doesn't matter. They all confirm that after watching it, they now appreciate Judaism a lot more than before. Why? Because they see the difference between the real diamond to all the 80,000 fake, 100% fake religions and cults who came after, which all of them are cheap imitation of our Torah. If each one of you would know how lucky you are to be born a Jew, I promise you, you would take off your clothes and run like Meshugine on the streets for days, without eating, without sleeping, just from the happiness that you are lucky to be born to the nation of the Creator of the world. As the Torah says in few places, Banim atem laHashem Elokechem, you are my children, I chose you from all the nation. To be mine. You're representing me. It's big responsibility. What do you think? You came here like a dog to eat and to sleep and to have a female and to smoke? That's not the purpose of life. So before I continue, I want to say one thing. I see some of you come from Hasidic background. Maybe some of you are Litvish. Maybe some of you are Israelis or Sephardi or Yemenite. Whatever you are, it doesn't really matter. One thing I want to clarify. Many people didn't like certain things they saw in Hasidut. They don't like certain things among Hasidut. They grew up to Hasidic area. Some of the things were forced to them in yeshiva, in school, and they, what they call, ran away. They left. What they call today, God off the derech. I want to make one declaration here. There is one thing that called Judaism, and there's one thing that called Hasidut. Hasidut is like a bonus on top of Judaism. It's not the main thing. Judaism was 3,100 years before Hasidut started. Many people don't understand the right chronological order. Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't Hasidish. The Rambam wasn't Hasidish. The Ari HaKadosh wasn't Hasidish. The Shulchan Aruch wasn't. That's before Hasidut was invented. Hasidut has some positive things that needed about 200 years ago, and gathering together and do certain things. And some of the things, many people are attracted very much and they feel very spiritual following. Some people don't connect. Just because you don't connect to it, but you keep all the laws of the Torah and the Shulchan Aruch, doesn't make you a wicked person. Make no mistake, whatever you were told, I don't care. I stay behind what I say 1,000,000,000%. If a person was Hasidish and one day he got tired of it and he decided to be a frum Jew, whatever he wants, Faradi, Litvish, doesn't matter what he wants to call himself, but he keeps all the laws of Shabbat, Tefillin, davening, kosher food, emunah in Hashem, tzedakah, everything he does, watch his eyes, do everything that the Torah say, is 100% tzaddik. Whether he's going to wear a fair hat, whether he won't, whether he will call himself in a certain way, or whether he's going to follow certain books or not, it's not going to make a difference. First of all comes the Torah. Please don't make that mistake. Why I say that? Because I met recently, in the last year or two, 100 of Hasidic boys who Chas v'Shalom went out of the derech and became a Chalel Shabbos. And they went in to do many, many horrible sins. And I found something very mutual among all of them. When I started to talk to them about the causes of the problem, I saw that they have a lot of frustration and anger against Hasidut, not against Judaism. They did not know to tell the difference. For them, Judaism is Hasidut. If it's not that, it's nothing. Once I clarify to them that it's two different things, you can be a Shomer Mitzvot and you can direct yourself to a different group. But if you don't belong to any group, you can still be a servant of Hashem and be 100% righteous, as it was for thousands of years, before all the groups started. Remember, today we have groups, but 1,000 years ago, there's not that many groups. Everything was much more simple than today. There's no different groups, different minhagim, different accent, different food. This is all a punishment as results of the 2,000 years of exile. What do you think was there before 2,000 years, before the destruction of the temple? There was one nation, that's it. Everyone in Eretz Israel, Jews, or in Bavel, and that's what it is. In the time, there was two communities, Eretz Israel, Bavel, that's it. It's all more Middle Eastern style Judaism. There was no Ashkenaz yet. Jews went later to European countries, but at that point, it was all one nation, one accent, one minhagim, everything the same. And everyone followed. The Gemara was the Shulchan Aruch. There was no Shulchan Aruch. It was all the same tradition. Later, when the Jews started to move from one country to the other, we have today different styles of Jews, different style, different minhagim. But remember, minhagim is important. Chas v'shalom, I'm not putting anything down. But there's something that is much more important. It's the original Torah that we got in Har Sinai. Remember this. So if Chas v'shalom, a person has to choose between the minhagim, his tradition, or to the main Torah, of course the main Torah comes first. It's what Hashem said, the 10 Commandments. Is how to keep Shabbat is the same thing. You keep Shabbat everywhere, whether you're in Yemen, whether you're in Syria, whether you're in Russia. Doesn't matter. It's still not allowed to create fire. Still not allowed to smoke. Still not allowed to sew. Still not allowed to write. There's some minor changes in tradition, but that's not going to make a main difference between the foundation. So that's very important. Why? Because once a person understands, I can connect directly to Hashem and follow the truth of Judaism, whether I dress like this or whether I dress like that, that takes a lot of the pressure from the people. Now, like I said before, some people, they come up with questions not because they really have questions. Inside their heart, they know everything is legit. They believe their father. They believe their Rebbe. They just don't like certain things. They don't like to get up early in the morning, so they make excuses. They don't like to dress in a certain way, so they make excuses. They don't like to be limited on what they can eat, what they don't like to eat, so they make excuses. They don't like to not to make scenes with the ladies, so they make excuses. So everything they have something to say, not because they have doubts, just because they are 100% losers. They can't fight against their desires. So instead of coming and say, listen, Rabbi, let me not waste your time. I'm a loser. I'm lazy. I don't have a power of will. I surrender to my Yetzer Hara. I have no strength, nothing. I'm very weak. This is the way I am. Instead of coming and admitting, they come with so many speeches against the Torah. That's not the right way. The right way to say, help me out, I'm weak. I need to elevate myself. What's the right way? Right now I'm down. Why? Not because I don't believe Hashem is here, the Torah is real. You have to understand, there's no way whatsoever to contradict the Metzius of Ma'amad Har Sinai. Nobody can contradict it. You bring any apikors, in 3 minutes the argument is over. If you don't believe me, watch part 1 of this film. I prove one proof after the other. There is no way in a history that an event that it's written in the Torah that God spoke to millions of Jews in Har Sinai can be planted in history. No one can invent such an event. It's 100% legit. No one would agree to accept the Torah when 80% of the mitzvot of the Torah are against human logic. All the other fake religions and cults, every mitzvah can be explained 100% in human logic. Why? People made it up. When people make something up, they make sure it's logical. Otherwise, people would ask a lot of questions. When you come to the 613 commandments of the Torah, you'll find that about 80% of them, not only you don't understand, are against human logic. Like this coming parsha, you're going to read about Shiluach Haken. Get rid of the mother, the bird, and take the chicks or the eggs and put them somewhere supposedly to die. That's against all the laws. The Torah say to be merciful, tzar ba'alei chaim, have mercy on the animals, don't torture the animal, feed your animal before you feed yourself and your children. And all of a sudden, you walk in the street, you find a nest of a bird, you get rid of the mother, you take the chicks, you put them somewhere, and who knows what's going to happen with them. And for that, you're going to have not only long life here, that's nothing long life here. Life here is a blink of the eye before you realize it's over. We are now talking to a world that shekulo aroch, that life of eternity. Over there, your life will be in the highest level. Why? For a mitzvah that takes 10 minutes. On the other hand, you have a mitzvah to respect your parents. Every one of you, teenagers, know how difficult it is to go all your life and not get upset at your parents, not to be annoyed, to listen to everything they say, to agree with everything they say, to serve them with every help that they need. It's very difficult. So you go 40 years of hard work or 10 minutes getting rid of the bird, same reward. Is that logical? Find me one person that would say it's logical in a human logic. We don't understand. Why this bird and respecting and serving your parents for 40, 50 years all of a sudden has the same reward? 10 minutes, 40 years, same reward. So, plus, if you told me that I have to be merciful, why now you told me to be cruel to the bird? It's against human logic. Why there's hundreds of sacrifices, holiday sacrifices, Shabbos, Yom Kippur, every day sacrifices. What the animal did that I have to pay for my sin? I made a sin and the sheep will pay for the sin? There's a lot of things that don't make sense to us. And also a lot of strange things. You got to take from the blood, you put it in the ear of the Kohen and then his toes. A lot of strange things, which shows us that a person would never invent such strange laws. No human being will fake such a religion. What does he gain by that? If a person comes and invent a religion and want people to follow him, to give him money, to give him respect, to give him whatever you want, why would he make so many laws? He would make a very easy religion to keep. Why would he make people ask so many questions? You make 5, 6 laws, all of them are logical, nobody asks questions, everyone agree with you, you become a wealthy man, everyone bow down to you, end of story. Why you have to invent so many complicated laws and so many years of learning and so much hard work? For what? Make it very easy. Why 10% tzedakah? Give it 1%. 1% everyone would agree to give. Yeah, you make $1,000, you give $10. $100 is already hard. Rabbi, I work 2 weeks for this for $1,000. From morning to night, I gotta give $100. It's a day and a half of my work. $10, no big deal. That's what I pay for the cab. I'll give it. $10, no problem. Everyone will agree. You don't need more. If you have more than 3 million people, each one of them will give you 10% of his income, you're a billionaire. Whether they give you 1% or 10%, you're still flooded with money. And I remember Moshe Rabbeinu, who brought the Torah to millions of people and say, God send me, they will never accept him unless if they heard the voice of God. Because if it says in the Torah, all of you heard me speaking to God. If I come to all of you and I say, God sent me to speak to you here in Monticello tonight, all of you say, this guy is hallucinating. Maybe he took something, I don't know. So then I come, I say, oh, you don't believe me? Here, read the book. So I take out the book. Listen, I bring the book. I say, you don't believe me? Here is the book that God gave me. So he takes the book. You look familiar.
Me?
Yeah, whatever. I don't know, maybe I saw you in Brooklyn. But anyway, so I give him the book and he begins to read. And now he reads in the book that all of you heard me 5 hours ago speaking to God, and you heard God nominate me to be his representative. Now, if I'm a faker and I never spoke to God and I'm trying to fool all of you, will I write such an event in my book that all of you would know right away I'm a liar? I defeat my own purpose. If I come and I say, ladies and gentlemen, God sent me, I'm the prophet, all of you have to listen to me, be careful not to mess with me. Messing with me is messing with him. I want everyone to follow all the laws. And you open the book and you say, I am the God that took you out of Japan and brought you to upstate New York. So right away you say, what Japan? We've never been in Japan. There are 3 boys who went to Japan until today, they have problems. We never went to Japan. It says over here, I took you out of Japan. So if it didn't happen, it's over before it even started. All of you would say, very sorry, it's not from God. God doesn't make such foolish mistakes. So the Torah would be over if there were not slaves in Egypt. If there were no 10 plagues in Egypt, no one would agree to accept the Torah. If they didn't hear the voice of God, as the Torah says, in front of their eyes, none of them would agree to accept the Torah. They'll tell Moshe right away, excuse me, sir, you are a nice man, but you're a liar. It just say here, we all heard you speaking to God. I'm here, and I never heard you speaking to God. Who are you trying to fool? Now, you think Moshe was so dumb to make such a mistake, to write in a book that all of us heard him speaking to God if it didn't really happen? That's an end of argument. There's no point of continue these foolish arguments. All these arguments that all these apikorsi make comes for only one reason. They're total ignorant. They never read the Torah once in their life. Once they read the Torah, they get confused. Man, of course they get confused, if they're honest. Most of the people are not honest with people, and they are not honest with themselves. Even to themselves they lie. What do you think? A heavy smoker. He already know in his mind that it's killing him, every cigarette, taking few minutes of his life. You know, it's been proven already. But he has many other reasons to convince himself that he's healthy. Not only that it's not a problem, he even will give you a speech how healthy it is to smoke. Why? It's good for the stomach, it helps in the bathroom. You understand? He has a whole speech. Now I give you another example. When you come to a group of people and you speak against smoking cigarettes, who would always be against you? The smokers. The one who don't smoke right away agree with you. The smokers have a lot of arguments. Do they really believe that they can win the arguments in an honest way? Of course not. They just want to relax their conscience. If they make some claims and you won't have what to answer, they'll feel good with their sin or with destroying their life. It won't be a torture anymore. When a Mechalel Shabbos, starting to be Mechalel Shabbos for the first time in his life, his hands is shaking. For the first time, he touched the phone on Shabbat, he begin to text. In the beginning, his hand is shaking. Or he lights his first cigarette on Shabbat. For a day or two, he feels horrible. Wow, I became a Mechalel Shabbos. Mechalel Shabbos is worse than a murderer, according to the Torah. It's not a joke. The Torah says the punishment of Mechalel Shabbos is higher than the punishment of a murderer. What do you think? It's a joke? It's an eternal covenant between us and the Creator of the world. If anybody understands what does it mean, an eternal agreement between us to the Creator of the world, that our eternity is in His hand, to come and mess up in such a way by being Mechalel Shabbos, violating His rule, not only His hand would shake, His entire body would shake for 1,000 years. But usually after a few times that a person does it, he begins to feel comfortable with that. And then after a year, you ask him, what happened, Moishi? You used to be such a tzaddik, and now you're not even Shomer Shabbos? You know what the speech he has against it? I can prove to you this law is not, the rabbis made up this, they invented that, and this one, and that one. He gives you such a speech, the rabbi almost follow him to drive on Shabbat somewhere after that speech. Does he really believe that speech? Of course not. And if he does, send him to me, I'll prove him wrong. So far, I see some people wanted to ask questions, so let's start. Kadima. What's the question?
You all believe that Moshe Rabbeinu gave the terms of us and years ago. What did the Jewish nation think when they saw the Torah, when they saw what was written in there, that had a Taida and Ruvini, and all the stories, why did they make this story? The story in the book, and it says, written in the Torah, stuff that happened after Har Sinai, stuff like Moshe Rabbeinu died, and the Egel 10 days later.
Very good question. So if you knew that the way the Torah was given, then this question become irrelevant. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu, when he went up to Shamayim, what did he really bring? First time, he brought the first 10 commandments. The third time, remember, it was 40, 40, and 40. The third time, he came down the day after Yom Kippur, he brought the second 10 commandments, the entire oral Torah, and only a part of the written Torah. Not the entire written Torah, only up to Parashat Yitro, where it's described how the Torah and the 10 commandments was given. Nothing further. The rest, from Parashat Yitro to the end, was given in a period of 40 years. Every few years, Hashem called Moshe Rabbeinu to Ohel Moed, and he said, write another piece. Write another piece. And the last day of his life, listen, the last day of his life, he wrote by a miracle 12 Sifrei Torah. You know, you cannot write 13 Sifrei Torah in one day. It takes a year to write one. So 13 in one day, obviously it's a miracle. He gave one to each tribe. He put one in the ark, and they passed away. And the last sentence of the Torah, the last few verses, Yoshua ben Nun finished. The death of Moshe Rabbeinu, few last verses, Yoshua ben Nun completed. The Torah was given to the tribes, and that's how the Torah started. Now remember, today after 3,320 years after the Torah was given, you never found a different Torah than the one we have. When the Polish Jews came to Israel, when the Russian Jews, when the Syrian Jews, when everyone, Yemenite, everyone from all over the world, there was no internet, no communication, no telephone, no radio, no television, no FedEx, no Facebook, no connection. No connection. If you brought a Yemenite Jew 500 years ago, and you brought an Ashkenazi Jew from Germany, and you put them together, they look at each other, they'll never believe this is a Jew. You tell the Ashkenazi one, this is a Jew, he say, come on, who are you kidding? You tell the Yemenite, this is a Jew, he will never believe. They never even were aware that they are completely, totally different Jews. Blonde with blue eyes, dark with dark skin and black eyes and curly hair. It's two different, two different species. And what happened? When they open up their laws, they have the same Torah. Same Shabbat, same circumcision, same davening, same everything. Some minor changes, I'm not saying no, but the changes is not even 1%. Do you know what it means to reserve a religion that was given 3,320 years ago, when the Jews are spread all over the world, when the Gentiles, all they care about is to destroy the Torah? to destroy the Jewish halakha, to destroy the circumcision, as they continue to do today, as you can see, Germany and all over in other places. They could destroy kosher food. They fought against Judaism non-stop. The Romans, the Babylonians, the Philistines, the Persians, everyone just trying to destroy Judaism. The Jews had to keep the Torah under the ground, to risk their life, to reserve the Torah, and when they gathered in Israel 60, 70 years ago, 99.9% of what they brought is identical 100%. On the other hand, you go to Christians. Nobody ran after them. Nobody destroyed them. Nobody depressed them. Nobody forbid them to practice Christianity or Islam. See, billions of mistakes. 200,000 different New Testaments they have. 200,000 different books. So many human errors. There's Catholic and Protestant and this kind and Jehovah's Witnesses and that, the 7-day so many different complete Christians. One believes in that, one is against that. Completely different Christianity, completely different books. So now, when the Jews received the Torah, of course Moshe didn't receive the future. What do you think? Hashem gave Moshe what he's going to do in the next 40 years? It will eliminate his free choice, and Hashem constantly always give us a free choice. He'll never eliminate our free choice, never. And you can see in the entire Torah. Yes, only until Parashat Yitro. You can see in Rashi writes, it's very clear. So Moshe finished the Torah, pieces of pieces, after Parashat Yitro. So only they knew the creation of the world, Avraham, Yitzchak, things in the Noach, the flood, and from then on, parts of the Torah were written after. And then later, when Moshe finished, they received the entire Torah. Plus, you know, in my last lecture, somebody challenged me claiming that they are investigators of the Torah, that they claim that the Torah was written by few different sources. Why? There's different style, and this part of the Torah, different style, and that part of the Torah. So right away, this argument is very foolish. Why? Because just because a writer changes style, even a human being, you can write one book in style A, and book B is style B. One is drama, one it could be a different, a complete different story, different style. Just because the creator of the world called himself in few different names, when Judaism explains which name, what it means, doesn't mean there's more than one, because the Torah says, I'm only one God. There's no other but me. So now, just because there are different styles doesn't mean there's different sources. Let me give you an example. If you take Sefer Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 1, Bereshit bara Elokim את השמיים ואת הארץ. There are hidden codes inside the Torah that answer this dilemma. If you take the word Bereshit, you take the Taf, you circle the Taf, you count 49 letters, you get Vav. You count from the Vav 49 letters, you get Resh. You count 49 letters, you get Hey. What do you get? The word Torah is hidden inside the text in mathematical equal skip. It's a mathematical hidden code that the writer of the Torah, which is the creator of the world who gave it to Moshe, he hid the word Torah in equal skip in the first page of the Torah. Now you come and say, very impressive, but maybe it's coincidence. There's a chance, 1 to a million, that it can happen coincidentally. So the answer to this, you go to Sefer Shmot, Exodus, first parasha, ve'ele Shmot bnei Israel. These are the names of the Jews who came with Yaakov to Mitzrayim. Ve'ele Shmot, the word Shmot finished with Taf. You circle the Taf, you count 49 letters, you get Vav. 49 letters Resh, 49 letters Hey. Again, the word Torah is hidden in a text in 49. Why 49? 7 times 7. You know 7 is the most important number in life. So it constantly repeats in 7. Then you say, okay, much more impressive now, because it's Bereshit and Shmot. So we already know Bereshit and Shmot has the same writer, even though they have completely different style of writing. Because nobody would know it until we invented computers. Computers are around for about 20 years. Nobody could find it before computers were invented. How do you know what to look for? It's hidden inside millions of letters. There's no way to know. You don't know what to look for. The only way to find the code is first that you know what you're looking for. First, somebody told you this code exists in a Torah. Now you begin to search. If you want to search one word that is hidden in a Torah, it will take you 1,000,000 years without a computer. What the computer does in a second will take you 1,000,000 years from morning to night non-stop. You know how many variations you have? Billions of different options until you find one of them correct. So there's no way to do it. Only the computer can do it by searching millions of possibilities in less than a second. And the computer finds it. Now you go to Sefer Vayikra. You go to Vayikra, in English is Leviticus. So you go there and you find the name of Hashem, Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey in equal skip. Then you go to Bamidbar, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, which is Dvarim. You have the name of the Torah in equal skip of 49 from left to right. So what do you have? You have a menorah. You have a menorah with 5 candles. The main one, the main candle, which goes all the way down to the base, is the name of God. Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey in equal skip of 7. And from the 2 candles from right to left and the 2 from left to right, Torah in equal skip of 49. That's the answer to all these supposedly people who understand the style of the Torah and think that the Torah, it's a novel. They don't understand that it's a book of instruction full of millions of secrets. You don't analyze the Torah like you analyze an article in a newspaper or a history book or a drama book. It's completely different leagues. So that's very foolish to begin with. Just because there's different style to think there's more than one rider to the Torah. Any more questions? Yes.
When the Jews got the Torah, one thing, look at what it says, or they just, right when they got it, they didn't open it, they just said, okay, we'll take it. That means they didn't inspect it before, they didn't know what they're getting.
First of all, they say we take it.
They don't care if they're getting anything that's fake.
No, when Jews wanted to take the Torah, not because they dumb. When you come today to a Jew and tell him, I want you to become religious and follow the Torah, do you know one of them that agree right away before giving you hell? Usually it doesn't happen. No, prove to me, how do I know? You know, it can take years until you agree. So how all of a sudden millions of people agree to become right away from? Everyone became righteous in 1 minute? What do you think, hocus pocus? What was it, a kishuf? The answer is, when the people receive the Torah, remember, they come out of Egypt after 1 year of one miracle after the other. They saw what Hashem did for them in Egypt. They were embarrassed to ask questions. After all this performance, I'm going to ask what's in the Torah? Of course I trust you. You already proved to me that the most important thing in the creation is me. You're changing all nature for me. Everywhere in Egypt it becomes blood. Billions of frogs. Every firstborn is dying. The Dead Sea is splitting. We went through. They drowned. We have bread falling from heaven. Everything is working out. Now you're giving me a book. I'm going to dare to ask, dear God, what's in your book? Of course I'll take it. But believe it or not, few minutes later they changed their mind. They started to regret. Maybe it's too hard. No. And Hashem said, it's too late. The deal is done. You cannot back up. You back up, you finished. Even few minutes later, they changed their mind. And what do you think? That was the end of it? Right after that, 40 days later, what did they do? The golden calf. Even though the Jews didn't do it, the Erev Rav, but the Jews didn't kill them. They're standing out there and watching them dancing around the golden calf. So, Yetzer Hara, evil inclination, we all have. Even they heard the voice of God. Few days later, they made a big sin of bowing down to an idol. They heard the voice of God. It's not so simple. Desires, we all have. Yetzer Hara, we all have. But when the Torah was given, nobody asked question. You know why? As soon as you open the Torah, you read that you heard the voice of God. That's all it comes down to. You don't need more than that. Even there was no Egypt, there was no 10 plagues, there was no, the Dead Sea did not split, nothing. No bread is falling from heaven, no miracle whatsoever. All it needs, you open up the book and you read that you and him and every one of us heard this person speaking to God. Yes or no, that's it. If no, the Torah will never start. No one would agree to keep anything. They'll tell Moshe, you're a liar, leave us alone, goodbye. Nobody would even know Moshe existed. You know why? They'll kill him right away. You know why they'll kill him? I'll tell you why they'll kill him. When there was no water, they almost killed him. When there was no food, they almost killed him. When they didn't give a job to Korach, they made such a demonstration. All the chief rabbis came against Moshe. He had a lot of problems with them. Imagine Moshe is coming and bringing them a fake book and they caught him that it's fake. Of course they'll kill him. You know why? Because you know what it says in the book? That thousands of them has to get divorced. They happily married. They have children. Thousands of them immediately has to leave their wife. Why? Up to now, you are allowed to marry your aunt, your father's sister. Your father has a sister, she's your age, you marry her, you have children. Now Moshe comes, he gives you the Torah, you open the Torah and you read, Ervat dodatcha lo tegale dodatcha hi. You cannot be with your aunt. What do you mean? She's my wife. I have 7 children. Ma. I'm very sorry. God gave me this book. What do you want from me? What? You want me to get divorced? You want me to throw all the food to the garbage just because we slaughter it with a regular knife? What would happen to him? If they would find one mistake in the Torah, what the Torah say, 100 miracles, and one of them did not happen, Moshe Rabbeinu, you wouldn't even know there was somebody by this name. They'll chop him to pieces. You coming to destroy our life? You coming to make us give you 10% of our income? You coming to make us get divorced? You coming to tell us that all the cows we prepare for the holiday, all of them has to go to the garbage because we slaughter them with regular knife? Think what would happen to him. Plus, why would Moshe write in a book that is stuttering? If it was a faker, first thing a faker does is hiding his weaknesses. You ever saw a bad thing against Muhammad in the Quran? That something was defected about him? Or something that he was doing wrong? Or against JC? All these man-made books that were written, you never find one derogatory comment against their leader or against their heroes. Nothing. Only the Torah speaks full of Lashon Hara. David HaMelech, Lashon Hara about him. Shlomo HaMelech, Lashon Hara about him. Moshe Rabbeinu, Lashon Hara about him. Aaron, Lashon Hara. Nadav and Avihu, Lashon Hara. Adam HaRishon, Lashon Hara. Noach, Lashon Hara. Everyone get criticized, get killed in the Torah. Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Yosef, everyone. Why? The Torah is divine, is objective, no lies. The truth is on the table, whether it's nice to hear, whether it's not nice to hear. All the other 80,000 religions and cults are all fake. That's why everything looks perfect over there. And there is something bad, they hid it under the rug. More questions, yes?
Maybe it's the perfect fate. I don't know, it's still real.
Maybe it's the perfect fate?
We planned out, he's going to ask this question when we cover that up. He's going to ask this question when we cover that up too.
Well, first of all, if there was 1 or 2 bad comments, maybe your question would be legit. But since there's hundreds of derogatory things against any king, any leader, then you see that it's an objective book. Why do you say that it's a plan to write bad things against people to cover up? It's not realistic. Nobody would write anything bad against himself, against his father. Remember, Moshe told them you have to get divorced. Moshe's father Amram was married to Yocheved, his aunt. Think about it. Moshe comes, and also Moshe begged Hashem that his children would take his place. And Hashem told them they're not worthy. Yoshua ben Nun will be the leader. Do you know today any king in history? Look at the Arab world. Every Arab king, what's the first thing he does before he dies? He puts his son to take his place. Even knowing there are people in the country that are much better than his son. It's not dumb, he knows who his son is. But no matter what, he'll give the power to his son. Whether he's going to kill 10,000 people or 100,000 people, he'll kill everyone as long as his son will take his place. Plus, all the billions that they steal, and as soon as they get into power, all these politicians and all these kings, what's the first thing they do? They take care of all the friends and relatives. You get a job, he gets a job, his sister, his brother, all his cousins, his father, his kids, everyone got a job. Look, every country you go, you see how corrupted it is. Moshe Rabbeinu takes the leadership. Everyone gets real estate in the Holy Land except one tribe. His tribe, Shevet Levi. His family doesn't get a piece of land. Everyone got a piece of land. Shevet Levi has no piece of land. Somebody else got his place. His children did not take his place. Think about it. He writes about himself that Hashem got angry at him. He didn't enter the land. Hashem punished him. He didn't enter the land. If the book was fake, you think Moshe would write about himself that he did not enter the Holy Land? I would not put it in a book. Who wants that his name will be memorized in history, that the last thing in his life that he got such a punishment from Hashem? If it wouldn't be authentic, they would write against Shlomo HaMelech, Vaya Asara Be'enei Hashem. They would bring the story of David HaMelech and Bathsheba. They will never write it. Why they wrote all this? To show you whatever you see, that's exactly what happened. Not more, not less. Yes? Louder. Of course not. Do you know a person who knows everything? Why you ask? No, first of all, when you go to the doctor, you expect him to know everything about your body. You know he doesn't know everything. He knows a lot. You still listen to his advice, right? He sends you to surgery, you go. He gives you pills, you go. So the speaker doesn't have to know everything. Even Moshe Rabbeinu admitted that he didn't know everything and he made some mistakes in his life. So nowhere it says that someone who comes to teach you about something has to be perfect. Only Hashem is perfect, and no one else was ever perfect. You understand? But if you have anything to contradict what I say so far, I'm more than happy to hear you. Don't just criticize. Focus. What did I say that didn't make sense? Did I say something that you can prove wrong? Go ahead, I'm here. Here is your chance to challenge me. Everything I said so far, can you challenge what I said? Think, take your time. If anything I said, plus you're going to watch, Be'ezrat Hashem, you watch my film, Torah and Science, and you have my email right here on the CD. I'm more than happy to get your questions and challenges and anything you want. And you write to me and I'll answer you, or anybody else here. More questions, please. Yes?
That's where you're from. One of the reasons saying that the Jews said last one of the things they said that the Torah is true, because when they opened the book, they saw right away that it's not nonsense, right? A couple minutes before that, he said the book was created a long time later. The Pasha was only for Yitro. After they did the Egel, after everything, then they created the book. So
No. They got the book up to Parashat Yitro with lots of what?
lots of stories.
No, but all the oral. No. But all the laws were there because the Torah Shebe'al Peh was 100% given.
Came after the Egel. He said before.
No. I say that Moshe Rabbeinu brought the Torah Shebe'al Peh fully, the Ten Commandments fully, and the Torah, the written Torah up to Parashat Yitro. And in the written Torah it says that the next day that Moshe came down, Vayeshev Moshe lishpot et ha'am. You cannot judge the Am if you don't have all the Torah Shebe'al Peh.
He said 40 days, wrote on the Luchot. The Jews did the Egel. He came down with the Luchot. He didn't give it to them, right? He came down with the Luchot.
The first one.
The first one.
First one he broke him.
It was only 10 commandments.
Right.
He came down with the 10 commandments
Yes.
with the Luchot. And the Eden did already the Egel. So that means the Eden did not know. They only knew 10 commandments. That's all they knew.
Right.
So,
In the sin of the Egel. But they violated the Ten Commandments.
but even on the 10 commandments, they didn't want to listen. They were over right away on the first
Yes.
right?
That's why you hold them guilty.
They were saying that after they got the book, they right away said it's a true book. Look, it's true. First of all, they didn't get the book. Second of all, they didn't even want to believe in the 10 commandments right away. Then they had no choice. They said, you know what? I'll get my Leviim, I'll kill you all.
No. Something you missed here. When they got the written book up to Parashat Yitro, it described there the 10 plagues of Egypt. It described the exodus of Egypt. It described the man. It described the... No. Once they received the book, they already see what happened up to now. One day after Yom Kippur, when Moshe came down. The 10th day of Tishrei, it's Yom Kippur. The 11th of Tishrei, Moshe already brought everything. After the Egel. And they read against about the Egel and everything else.
They were upset about accepting the 10 commandments right away. How do you see that?
The second 10 commandment, they were not upset. They're happy.
They kept on being against Moshe. They kept on, as you can see, we open up every single parasha. They were upset. They said, I want to go back to Egypt. I don't want to be here.
Right. I said everything is I said.
Right.
I said that the moment that Moshe brought it, they all say Naaseh v'nishma. And a few minutes later I say, they already regret it. And then Hashem forced them to accept it.
Right.
You repeat what I said.
Right.
Yeah.
But he said,
What's the question?
The reasons they said Naaseh v'nishma,
Yeah.
he said one of the reasons they said Naaseh v'nishma, because once they opened the book, they've seen that...
No, that's not what I say. I say after what they went through in the last year of Egypt and all the miracles that Hashem did for them, they didn't dare to ask what's in it. They are the only nation who agreed to accept it because they had good experience with Moshe and Hashem. Before looking at the book, they didn't know what's in the book. Moshe asked them, do you want to get the book? They say, of course, everything Hashem say, Naaseh v'nishma. Why? Because I tell you why. Because first Hashem said the first 2 commandments. The 3rd commandment was already written. The first 2 commandments, they heard the voice of Hashem. Only they heard 2 sentences from Hashem. That's it. Ever in a history that a group of people, such large group, heard the voice of God, only the first 2 commandments. The 3rd one already, they didn't hear. Why? Because when Hashem was about to say the 3rd commandment, read. They said to Moshe, no, we can take it, we're afraid. Moshe had to convince them that Hashem didn't come to harm them. So they say to Moshe, no, we trust you. Everything Hashem will say to you, Naaseh v'nishma. That's what it is. But they didn't know that much. They only knew that they don't want to mess with Hashem after they heard His voice, after what they saw in Egypt. It's enough. Later, they still regret.
Right.
As we are until today.
When you're a child and someone gives you candies and stuff, and you feel like appreciation of that person says, you know what, here's a paper, just sign it. Usually what you do right away, you're signing it. But you're in such a bad position, you just sign it. You're going to become an ummah.
Yeah.
Become an Am Yisrael.
Right.
Something. After they've seen everything, they read it right away, as they said. Is it even fear?
There's one thing to accept the book. I give you a book. You can put it on a shelf 20 years and you didn't even open it. There's one thing to give you a book and one thing that you agree to accept and practice the book. When I say to accept the book, I mean to keep every one of the laws.
They didn't know what to accept.
But once they got it, they didn't know what to accept. But once they got it, they will never agree to keep anything if they would find what.
They didn't keep it.
No, they kept everything. They had some.
Whoever didn't keep, they killed right away.
No, but 1 second. First of all, they accepted the laws of the Torah. They accepted Shabbat before Ma'amad Har Sinai. Shabbat was given before. They accepted the laws of kosher food because that's why we eat dairy on Shavuot. There's not enough time to slaughter new animals. So there are things that right away they did. The Torah said what they didn't do. But in general, they kept all the laws. For the 40 years, there were some issues. The Torah said what were the issues. Whatever the Torah didn't say, they kept. So now when they kept everything, what I'm saying is they would not agree to keep one thing if they would find one mistake in a book. If they see that the Torah said that they have bread falling from heaven, but bread is not coming from heaven, so what kind of a divine book is that? It says that we receive our bread from heaven and we have to go search for it. So that's not a divine book. If they read in the Torah that they heard the voice of Moshe speaking to Hashem, Hashem speaking to Moshe, and they heard the voice of Hashem, and it didn't happen, so what if they accepted? They would put it in the toilet. If I get from someone now a book, he claimed God gave it to him. The holiest rabbi in the world. He said, God gave it to me last night. Here is the book. And I open it and I see in the book the Twin Towers collapse in Chicago. What do I do to this rabbi? I throw the book back to him and say, leave me alone, don't waste my time. He said, well, I'm the holiest rabbi in the world. I say, yeah, but you're lying. I don't care. Why? It says here that the Twin Towers collapsed in Chicago. I'm not a fool. I know I was in New York. That's not a divine book. Goodbye. And if I was a polite person, politically correct, and I didn't want to confront that rabbi, knowing he's giving me a fake book, I would tell him no problem and put the book in the toilet and go back to my life. Pretend I'm religious, but do whatever I want, right? But everyone accepted it, and for 3,100 years, almost all the Jews in the world were religious. Until Moshe Mendelssohn, it was almost impossible to find Mechalel Shabbat in the world. Remember, there's only 7 or 8 generations that in Ashkenaz people started to go against Hashem. And only 100 years in Sfarad that people also started to go against Hashem. In Iraq, in Iran, in some countries, Greeks, Libya. But in the beginning, until today, in Yemen, do you think there was ever one Mechalel Shabbos in Yemen? Until this moment, from the time the first Jews arrived to Yemen until this second, there was never one Mechalel Shabbos on the land of Yemen. Not even one. And in Syria, go now to Syria, you have 150 Syrian Jews left. Arab Jews, speaking Arabic just like Muhammad and Ahmed. And look like them. And they keep all the Torah. 100%. Keep Shabbat. No one is... No, the 150 Jews, they're religious over there. Every place you see a minority of a Jew still left there, they still shomer mitzvot. Why? The question is, we have to ask why. More questions. Yes. Wait, you ask already. Go ahead, you.
What is Gehenna?
Louder.
What is Gehenna?
Okay, it's a good question. What's Gehenom? The Torah said that a person has reward and punishment after he dies. Depend what he chose to do. No one forces you what to do. You choose what you want to do. You can do all the violations, and Hashem keeps you around and give you the strength to do whatever you want. In the end, everyone will be judged. Some people go to Gehenom. Believe it or not, Gehenom is not the worst punishment. There are worse punishment than that. But Gehenom is a dry clean for the soul. Every time a person makes a sin, there's a stain on his soul, spiritual stain. If the person made tshuva, he repents. Now we are Erev Yom Adin. Rosh Hashanah is in less than 3 weeks. So now it's the time, the month of Elul, to repent, to clean the soul. Slichos, tzedakah, learning, working on our personality, all these things clean the soul. You don't want to clean the soul with your free choice and your efforts, no problem. Hashem will clean it for you, but it's very painful. That's what Gehenom is. Now you ask me, but wait a minute. They taught me in yeshiva that when the wicked people die, the soul goes to Gehenom and get burned. But how can you burn a soul? You can burn a body, something that consumed, wood, something, plastic. How can you burn an energy, a divine energy? You can't burn a soul. You can't even see the soul with eyes. Only a soul can see soul. We cannot see the spiritual things around us. We cannot see the angel, we cannot see the demons, we cannot see the spirits. We can't see it. So the answer is, heaven and hell, since it's 100% spiritual, it's what we call a simulation. Let me explain. Simulation. Let me explain to you what it means. When you go to become a pilot, they take you to a special box. You go inside, you sit, they put your helmet, and now it looks exactly like F-16. You're going to fly in the plane. You hear the noise in your ear, you feel the G-force, the box is moving. There's a engine there, it moves the box. You stand outside, it looks like a box moving like, but inside, it's 100% legit. It looks like you're flying very fast, you go up and down, you move, and you are feeling that you are really in a combat. And then you hear that a missile got shot at you, you have to brake, and sometimes you crash, and you should see when the pilots comes out, you should see how they sweat and their face is red, and they have lines with the helmet on their face, like they were just in heaven, in a sky. Well, they can't even walk. I'm telling you, they hold the chair like this, and they sit for 5-10 minutes to relax. It's 100% like it was real. But in reality, they didn't have G-force. It was all a simulation. This is exactly how heaven and hell is. Since there's no body, you don't really need a body to get burned. A person goes to sleep and he has a bad dream. He sleeps, then he wakes up and he begins to cry and he's nervous all day. Why? In a dream he had 3 months of tortures. He was in jail somewhere. They were beating him up. They burned him. They tortured him. He was working very hard. They abused him. And then he gets up. His wife said to him, why are you so upset? What happened? He said, it's the most horrible dream. She said, what do you mean? And he begins to describe 3 months of tortures from morning to night. Then his wife asked him, I don't understand. You've been only sleeping for 5 minutes. He went to sleep at midnight. Now it's 12:05. How 3 months of tortures with conversation, with whips, with curses, with drowning, with sharks in the middle of the ocean, all these stories, how it fits in 5 minutes that you've been sleeping. You just started to snore 2 minutes ago, and then you got up and you cried, and in the 2 minutes that you had a dream, you had 3 months of torture? Of course. because it's all spiritual. Remember, time exists only in the world of material. Where you have material, you have the time like we know it, as we look at the watch and we know an hour, a day, a month. Once there is no material, time, it's all an illusion. It doesn't exist like it exists over here. Time only can be measured where material is. Since we are going to a spiritual world, there's no material. Hashem decide what you feel. If He wants you to feel 1 million years of tortures of Gehenom, that's what He makes the soul feel. If He wants you to feel 1 day of Gehenom, it's going to be 1 day, just like in a dream. Now you know that a dream is 100% real. People can get a heart attack in a dream. People lose, people cry, people sweat, people can get all kinds of depressions from that. It's horrible things. So the answer is, whatever Hashem wants the soul to feel, that's what the soul will feel. That's why you don't really need to get burned. People can get heart attack by laying on a beach. Laying on a beach in Mexico, in Acapulco, whatever you want, enjoy, drinking, and then you put headphones on the ear, and they hear shooting in Vietnam. Remember, it reminds them 40 years ago they were in Vietnam, and somebody died next to them, and bombs, and they hear what happened. He lays on the beach, and then gets a heart attack, and he dies. So they write in his autopsy, cause of death, heart attack. Why? Because of getting 10 on Acapulco beach. So people say, well, I never heard someone is relaxing on a beach getting a heart attack. Yeah, the heart attack in different places. Why? It's not where your body is, it's where your soul is, where your mind is. You understand? So whatever Hashem wants you to feel, that's what we're going to get. And that's it. That's Gehenom. Don't really need to burn the body. Gan Eden, same thing. The soul received the pleasure that Hashem said, just like in a dream. Remember, a dream is a visit to Gan Eden, to Gehenom, to anywhere you want. It's a taste. It's a taste of what it's going to be. Now remember, we don't know that we dream until we get up. In the middle of the dream is 100% real. You enjoy for years, you reach, they're driving you around, and then all of a sudden you wake up and say, oh, it was only a dream. But in a dream, it was 5 years of pleasure. Thank you very much. No, next question. Yes?
Is there any Gehenna in this world?
Well, you can see that we suffer a lot in this world, and that's a replacement for Gehenna. There is suffering that the people get here by losing money, hard work, depression, all kinds of suffering, not getting married, not having children, being abused, all kinds of physical sicknesses, cancer, bearing their own children, all these things, it's Gehenom instead of the real Gehenom. That's why the Torah says that it's better to suffer here than to suffer there. Why? Because the suffering here is much more limited. Much more limited. You can suffer 4 or 5 years and it's over. Or X amount of years and it's over. Over there, since it's a world of eternity, it's much, much bigger. Everything for good and for bad, it's much, much bigger than here. So if a person would know how much the suffering helps him here, he would never ever complain about all the crises and the hard work that he has to put in life. He would be very lucky that I'm paying here and not there. More questions?
Gan Eden is also here? Gan Eden is also here?
No, Gan Eden, remember, whatever you get here takes away from your Gan Eden. If a person receives a lot of pleasures over here and runs after material pleasure, it takes away from the level of his Gan Eden, because he shows Hashem that what's important for him is money and food and vacation and sport and women and fame and honor. Since he runs after these things, Hashem says, no problem. You want to replace my reward with this nonsense? Let it be your reward. This is what it says in the end of Parashat Vayetchanan, the last 3 verses. Meshalem larasha el panav la'avido. I pay the wicked cash to their face to get rid of them. Every time you see a person who went off the derech, what you're going to see? Well, eventually in his life, Hashem is waiting for him to do tshuva. Eventually, if he doesn't do tshuva, all of a sudden he become rich, he become famous, he's doing very well, he going against the Torah, against his Rebbe, against his family, against the whole world. But he's pretty successful. Why? God forbid, that's the worst sign, because that's a sign that Hashem is giving him 10, 20 years for the years that he learned in yeshiva when he was a kid. He pays him for what he owes him, and then he has no share to the world to come. Where does it say it? Remember, you open Parashat Vayetchanan, the last 3 psukim. It says, Ani Elkanah, I'm the strict God who pay my lovers for 1,000 generations. Those who keep my mitzvot, Ohavai, Shomrei mitzvotai, pay my lovers who keep my mitzvot for thousands of generations. I pay their reward. Umeshalem larasha el panav la'avido. I pay the wicked person. Wicked means someone who makes sins intentionally against the Torah, knowing it's not allowed, and he still does it. Routine, not once in a while by mistake, Yetzer Hara. Routine, every day, every week, the same sins, doesn't matter, doesn't bother him. Meshalem larasha el panav. I pay the wicked people cash to their face to get rid of them. You may ask, what do you mean pay the wicked people cash to their face? Pay them for what? Just destroy them. What do you mean pay them? Pay them cash means for the little that they did good. There's no Rasha who never made mitzvot. He fasted a few times in Yom Kippur. He respected the old people a few times. Few times in his life he says Shema. He puts tefillin up to a certain age, or maybe one day in his bar mitzvah. One time in his life he did kiddush. He has a mezuzah. I have to pay him for it. I'm the honest God. So what do? I wait for him to do tshuva. If I see instead of becoming better, he become worse, and then he married the Goya, and his children are Goyim. So at one point I already know it's a lost case. So what do? I give him 20, 30, 40 years of pleasure. Houses, cars, VK, whatever you want. And then when he dies, I showed him that I paid him for the mitzvot that he kept, and he has no share to the life of eternity. God forbid, nothing, no punishment can come even near that. Remember, next time when you sell Hashem for $5 or for $5 million, you have to think how foolish it is. Because this sweet taste that you have by touching drugs, or by violating Shabbat, or by touching women's, or by not praying, or by eating not kosher, or all the other sins that people do, when you knew, if you only knew the price that comes with each one, believe me, you won't enjoy it. What is it like? A kid in your age, his father made him a credit card on his name. Not the father is paying, he has to pay. His father told him, here, $15,000 line of credit, here is your credit card, I made you a credit card. So the boy doesn't understand credit card, so he said, oh, I can go and buy things? Right away he go, he buy himself motorcycle, restaurant, shopping. Then the bill arrived, $14,000 to pay. You don't pay, $300 interest, $500 penalty, police, that, arrest, So what happened? When a person bought, it was very sweet. When he bought the motorcycle, 1 week he enjoyed. When the bill arrived, he doesn't want to look at the motorcycle anymore. How much I'm going to suffer for this pleasure, how much I'm going to pay now for these meals that I ate, I have to work very hard to pay for it. So a person cannot enjoy it. So all these things, thinking, let me try, like they say in America, Rabbi, I know it's the truth, but I want to have fun. Let me have fun for a few years, and then I'll do tshuva. Why now? I'm only 17. I'm only 18. Why should I rush? I promise you, one day I'll do tshuva. First of all, many people like you spoke, and they already dead a long time ago. You know how many kids die from drugs in our community? Do you know what's going on here? I know one kid who started to use drugs. No matter who spoke to him, nothing helped. Until one time he was with 2 of his friends, and one of them did it. And they took him to the hospital, and Mamash, he was dead already. By a miracle, they saved him, but he has a brain damage. Once he saw his best friend is going and his life is over, he doesn't have the guts to touch it anymore. A smart person, don't wait to see his best friend dying, or to wait maybe he'll die. A smart person learns from other people's experience. Why should I touch something that will take over my life and destroy me? Destroyed my future, destroyed my future marriage, destroyed my brain, I won't be able to focus, I won't be able to think. Plus, I'll get my punishment. Regardless of all the other physical problems, Hashem will still punish you for doing it. So what's the point? For 1 minute of pleasure, 5 minutes of pleasure, to pay such a price? Let's use our head, not to be dumb. Yes, you in the end.
So they're trying to say that drugs are
Yes, sure. Even to get drunk is an avera. A person should never get to a situation that he loses control. Do you know if a drunk person killed a person? According to the Torah, does he deserve a punishment or no? What do you think? He deserves execution 100% like a sober person. No difference. This one drunk, you know the drunk people, they don't know where they are. You ask them what's your name, they don't even know their name. Aru Aman, Baruch Mordechai, they don't know what's going on. Somebody like that, by mistake, because he's drunk, you know, he fell, he knocked the ladder on someone's head and he killed him. Someone like that. What do you think is punishment? Is a murderer 100%. If there was Ir Miklat, if the ladder fell with no intention, he goes to Ir Miklat for 40 years now, what we call jail today. And if he took a knife and stabbed him or shot him, he gets executed in Beit Din, even though he doesn't remember what happened. And it was his best friend. It could be his brother. It could be his father. He cried for the rest of his life for what he did. Why? Why you are getting killed? For becoming drunk. So obviously it's even worse than alcohol. Because alcohol, it takes a long time until it kills the liver and other parts of the body. Drugs, from the first time, right away, it burns cells in the brain. We have yeshiva for Baalei Tshuva in Monsey. Every person who uses drugs have very hard time to understand the Gemara. Why? He has cells in his brain that are burned. They don't work. It's like a hard drive that has problems. Computer gets stuck all the time. They can't focus. They see 10 minutes and right away they're suffering, they're dying. Why they are dying? Few years of smoking drugs, that's what happened. If you think you're smart, don't ever touch these things. What are you trying to prove? Who are you trying to prove that you're a man? Nobody will be there later to help you and support you when you have physical and mental damage. You understand? Believe me, better not to start. And if you started, do everything you can never to touch it. And if you have friends who influence you, stay away from them. They are your murderers, they're not your friends. Stay away from them. And if you are the one who influence others, you are the worst than anyone. Why? Because you chote umachti. For you have a special section in hell. So you better stop. And if you go down, don't drag other people down with you. Go down alone. Hashem will appreciate it that you didn't take 2 or 3 more of your brothers down to Gehenna with you. Say, Hashem, you know what? I'm going down, but I'm not taking my friends down with me. That's also a hero, in a way. Yes?
So why is there that the grace for the pleasure and complete disregard for the punishment? I'm going to enjoy myself now, and who cares what I'm pleasure? The nature is to pleasure all.
Well, that's the nature, but you have to agree with me that it's stupidity. Because I also have credit cards that I can go and buy whatever I want and enjoy for 3 months like a king. Why I don't do it? I also want the pleasure now. We all want the pleasure now. Rabbi, Olam Haba, it's another 40 years, another 50 years. Let me enjoy now. I can take the credit cards and go and shop for $100,000 on the credit cards and enjoy for a year. I'm not doing it because I know what's going to be after. Same thing you. You know you can enjoy now and can do whatever you want. Everything you want today, you can buy for peanuts. The question is it a smart thing to do or no? Smart person doesn't eat poison today, knowing in 10 years from now it's going to cause him a permanent damage. Even though the poison is very tasty now, I don't want to touch it now because I don't want to suffer in 10 years from now. That's a smart person. Foolish person say, when we get to the bridge, we cross it.
So why are there these foolish people?
Why there are foolish people? Usually it comes from ignorance, that they don't learn, they don't want to learn, they're lazy. Once you begin to learn Torah, you know that it makes you, if you're foolish, it opens up your head. I saw many foolish people. Once they came to yeshiva, slowly they became very wise. Why? The Torah opens up the head. The Torah, it's like exercise for the brain. The more you think, the more you learn Gemara, the deeper you go, the more sharp your brain is. You understand? It's like everything, you work on your muscle. You work for 3 months in a gym, your muscle is already much stronger. You make your brain focus and work hard every day, you become a sharper person. You catch everything very quick, you're focusing, you concentrate, you remember better, everything falls into place. Your head, remember, your head is 100% like a computer.
That person will end up hurting himself. Why put them in the position to be able to hurt himself?
Well, because life is a free choice. That's what the Torah says. I'm giving you the life and the good, the bad and the bad, and you should choose the good. Or it also say, I'm giving you the blessing and the curse, you should choose the blessing, which means you can choose the curse. You can choose the poison. No one is holding you. You're 100% free to do whatever you want, but in the end, there's an eye who watch over you, there's an ears who listens to you, and everything you do is being registered in a book of God. Okay, now before we finish, I want to conclude. First of all, as you can see, I didn't give you that many proofs. Why? I have the CDs, watch the debate, you can go on my website, you have everything you want, thousands of proofs in different lectures, seminar series. Every question you ever had, you can get right there. But now I want to conclude. Now it's a great opportunity now. Now you're going home, I understand, tomorrow, you go back to your environment, maybe there's bad things on the streets. You're thinking, let me go back to where I am, that I can go back to my sins. No, don't do it. Don't be a loser. You say, I was here, it's Camp Anavim, people put efforts in me, people kept me in a clean place, they taught me, they mean well for me, my parents mean well for me, my rabbis mean well for me, people came here to give speeches before me, I understand. Many people bothered a lot to try to save your souls. Don't be ungrateful. Say, you know what, after all I've been through, let me continue on a roll, not to go down to square one. After all, what's the point? Going up, and then collapse. Going up, and collapse. In the end, you die Haman. What's the point? Take advantage now. We are 3 weeks before the judgment day. In 3 weeks, Hashem is going to determine your next year, how much money you're going to have, how much health, how much happiness, how many connections, how many shidduchim, who's going to be your wife eventually. Everything is going to be determined. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Adin. It's not a joke. Now it's an opportunity. Take yourself serious. Listen to more lectures, work on your character. Those who steal, stop it right away. Those who touch the drugs, stop it right away. Those who are not 100% on Shabbos, texting, all kinds of things. Mechalel Shabbos, hareu kegoy lechol davar. You cannot bury him with the Jews in the same cemetery. You should know it. Touch the wine, you have to spill the wine. If he asks for a loan, even though you're not allowed to charge interest from another Jew, you can kill him on interest. Why? Hashem says a goy. Don't worry. Take him in. Take as much interest as you want from him. He doesn't count as a Jew for me, Hashem says. If he witness your wedding, you're not married. You have to get remarried. If you witness a murderer, you have to let the murderer go. He's not reliable. You cannot accept his testimony. What do you want? You want more? Do you want to be in this category in the eyes of Hashem? You want to be Ahmed? You want to be Mustafa? You want to be Yasser Arafat? Who do you want to be? Right now, if you're texting on Shabbos, that's what you are. What do you think? Hashem is very clear. Mechalel Shabbos is no matter how many times on Shabbos you do. Whether it's only texting, whether it's listening on the internet, whether it's lighting the fire or smoking a cigarette. It's all Mechalel Shabbos. Whether you did it 10 times or 10,000 times. You do it once, that's it, you're Mechalel Shabbos. So why to be so foolish? Why? What happens if you die tomorrow? You want to have millions of years of frustration and suffering for losing it? Now remember, all of you is in the worst category. You're not the typical audience that I speak to. I come to secular Jews, they were born in a garbage. They don't know who Moshe Rabbeinu is. They don't know who's Avraham Avinu. They grew up in Tel Aviv, in a kibbutz, in all kinds of places. Their parents treated them like monkeys. They sent them to public school. They never heard one word of Judaism. You tell them you didn't know that you're not allowed to light fire on Shabbat? Honestly, they didn't know. They don't know who was Noach. They don't know that there was a flood one day. Nothing. They don't know nothing. And they change in weeks after beginning to coming to lectures, and they make tshuva. You, every sin that you do is 100% mazid. No discount. From the first Chilul Shabbos is stoning and karet. No second chance. If you die chas v'shalom, you cannot say to Hashem, I didn't know. You grew up in Borough Park, in Williamsburg, in Monsey, in the best neighborhoods in the world. What are you going to say to Hashem? I didn't know. Hashem say, your father is a Rebbe. You telling me you didn't know? You went to yeshiva, you went to cheder. So what are you going to say? The Rebbe was cruel to me? He beat me up? So Hashem say, what kind of stupid excuses you give me? Just because your Rebbe was corrupted, now it's an excuse to go against me? Go against him. Why you go against me? I'm your father. I gave you oxygen. I give you everything you have. Your Rebbe gave you some smacks. Maybe he meant well. I don't know what's the story. Maybe he himself needs somebody to help him. But whatever the case was, right now, you take your anger against my Torah, against my Shabbat. against my laws and expect me to understand you? The opposite. You should have said, you know what, if this is my Rebbe, I'm not going to be like him. I'm going to be a real tzaddik, like the Torah say. I don't care if I'm going to have this peot, or I'm going to wear this hat, or I wear this kilt, or the other one. I'm going to be a real tzaddik. No stealing, no lashon hara, watch my eyes, kosher, learning, honesty, integrity. That's what I'm going to be. Doesn't matter what society said. Today you ask the parents, your children are going off the derech. They're not putting tefillin. They're not shomer Shabbos. They're eating chazir, some of them already. They're eating shrimps. They're making sins with goyot. And then they dress like a goy. So you ask a typical Orthodox Jew, which one of the 6 kills you the most, that you will give $1 million to prevent? What do you think he would say? That my son will dress like a Yid. That shows how corrupted our society became. Instead of saying, I give my life for him not to be Mechalel Shabbos. I don't care what the neighbors say about him. They say he's a goy, he's a shegetz. What do I care? As long as it's going to be Shomer Shabbos, Hashem accept him, he has a share to the world to come. So the people speak against me. They say that I have a son that is a shegetz. That's what's happening today. Instead of coming, Rabbi, help my son, he became a Mechalel Shabbos, he's making his Soreh Karet every day. Rabbi, I give you everything you can do if you convince him to wear a white shirt. Do you think a Jew will go to Gehenna for not wearing white shirt? For sure not. Do you think a Jew will go to Gehenna for not wearing a shtreimel on Shabbos? I promise you won't. Do you think a Jew will go to Gehenna if he didn't have this payos? I promise you he won't. He will go to Gehenna if he's a thief, if he's a crook, if he's a drug dealer, if he's a Mechalel Shabbos, if he lives with Christine in the same house and makes sins. For that he'll go to Gehenna. It doesn't matter what people think. Remember, stop thinking what people say about me. I don't care. It's not important. What important is what Hashem is thinking about me. Let me be a hero. Let me be motze chen be'enei Hashem. Ve'noach matzah chen be'enei Hashem. Hashem liked him. You want, if people ask you what's important, everyone in the world would like you and Hashem would hate you, or everyone would hate you and Hashem love you. Smart person, what does he say? I care about people. I want Hashem to be happy for me. And Hashem will only be happy for you if you be a tzaddik according to the Torah. And I promise you, Hashem doesn't care about your accent. Hashem doesn't care how smart you are in business. Hashem doesn't care what kind of car or watch you have. Hashem doesn't care who's your Rebbe, who is your father, who is your brothers. That's not important. Only one thing is important. You are holy mouth, you have holy eyes, you have holy behaving, you're an honest person, you're a charitable person, you're doing chesed. That's what Hashem loves. That's it. The rest is nonsense. Believe me, many of these people who eat a lot of kugel and come and they look the leaders of the community, they have a special oven in Gehenom for them waiting, pretending they're righteous. And some of the kids, blue shirts, this, that, all kinds of funny things, but they are doing a lot of mitzvot and they're trying very hard. They're going to be in the highest level in Gan Eden. And even if you grew up from and you went all the way down and you're coming back, you are Baal Tshuva and you're better than your Rebbe. Why? במקום שבעלי תשובה עומדים, אפילו צדיקים גמורים לא עומדים. Of course, it's better not to become a goy and to become back a Jew. Better to stay a Jew all your life. But if you already crashed, if you become a tzaddik, believe me, you're better than your Rebbe. Because במקום שבעלי תשובה עומדים, someone who tasted from the poison and liked it and gave it up, he has a big nisayon, is considered a tzaddik. And don't give yourself discounts. I'm young, there's time. We are in a very critical time in the world. Before we realize it's all going to be over. Israel, Iran, bomb, atomic bombs, all the prophecies, Mashiach come. Do you think someone who smoked drugs will see Mashiach? Someone who Mechalel Shabbos will see Mashiach? You can dream about it. What do we say every day in the davening? We read the word of the Navi. Uva leTzion Goel, לשווה פשע ביעקב. The Mashiach is coming to the nation of Israel to save who? לשווה פשע ביעקב. Those who made tshuva. Those who made tshuva. Doesn't matter, you were religious all your life. Every day you have to do tshuva. Why do you think religious people don't make sins? Everyone has his weaknesses. What's the hardest for you? That's your main test in life. Some people say, well, Rabbi, you know, I'm not so good in Shabbos, but I'm very good with tefillin. Why? Tefillin, it's easy for you. 2 minutes, Shema Israel, no big deal. Shabbos is harder. Shabbos is your test. Ladies, girls, watching bad things in the internet, it's very hard for me to stop, but I'm Shomer Shabbos, I'm coming to davening, I walk with a hat, I grew up peos, I even go to the mikveh. But all day you watch dirt in the internet. That's your test. This is easy for you. You only get rewarded for what's difficult, and you pass the test, then something that comes piece of cake. Last questions for today, but it better be a good one. Anybody has more question, or everything is clear? Yes. Louder. If you mechal Shabbos, what? If you mechal Shabbos, every time you mechal Shabbos, it's a separate stoning and a separate karet. But if you do tshuva, you can fix it. But let me tell you one thing that people don't know. When a person makes Chilul Shabbos, grew up from, it's not from the kibbutz or grew up in Shanghai. He grew up in Borough Park. No excuses. He saw Shabbos, he knows, he knows everything. And then he decided to be Mechalel Shabbos. Every time he's Mechalel Shabbos, it's a separate horrible sin which is worse than a murder. You should know that. But one day he becomes a Baal Tshuva, and Hashem is willing to forgive him. There's only one problem. Every one of the 36 restrictions in the Torah that the punishment for them is a karet, that Hashem say, I'm cutting that soul out of my nation, which means that soul does not have a share to the world to come. Even if you correct the sin, like you were eating chametz on Pesach, and you stop, you regret, you're ashamed, you never touch beer on Pesach anymore, you don't eat chametz on Pesach, you 100% corrected it, it's not enough. You must go through a period of suffering to get rid of the sin. You cannot make tshuva without receiving lots of suffering. Now tell me please, do you know any foolish person that wants to drive the car on Shabbat to the mall or to something, or who is hiding in his room that his parents won't know and he's texting on his phone, and one day he knows, I'm going to do tshuva, I know I'm doing something wrong, I believe in Hashem, I'm not so bad, Rabbi. What? I pray to Hashem when I have problems. I talk to Him. I ask Him to help me. I even fast on Yom Kippur. I even learn sometimes. I even come Thursday night to the learning program. But on Shabbos, I'm texting. I'm bored. I want my friends to meet me in the neighborhood. All kinds of things like this. But one day when they want to do tshuva, they're going to have to pay for every time they hit the phone separately. All this Chilulei Shabbat must receive suffering. There's no way to just wipe it out. For instance, if you didn't put tefillin, it's a horrible sin. It's a covenant. It's one of the 3 covenants. But one day you decide to put tefillin, the years that you didn't put tefillin, you lost. But from now on, you start putting tefillin, you regret, you're ashamed, you ask Hashem to forgive you, that's it. There's no punishment. You only lose the days that you didn't put tefillin, and no one can give it back to you. Me'uvat lo yuchal litkon. You lost it. But when you die, there's no punishment for the 2-3 years that you didn't put tefillin, besides losing the reward. But when you mechalel Shabbos, it's not the same. You have to pay and receive suffering for each time. Even when you become tzaddik like Moshe Rabbeinu, you still have to receive the suffering. That's why a lot of the Baalei Tshuva suffer a lot after they become religious. They lose all their money, they have problems with their children. Why? Because all the 36 restrictions in the Torah that are karet punishment, they have to receive suffering. Read in Rambam Ilchot Tshuva. There is no way to erase the karet punishment without receiving suffering. If a person became Baal Tshuva, he grew up religious, and he left Hashem and the religion, and then one day he became a Baal Tshuva, and he's not receiving suffering, that means Hashem did not accept his Tshuva. You have to be very worried about him. When you see he receives suffering, say Baruch Hashem. Hashem is accepting his Tshuva. Yes? Someone who did it already.
I'm already suffering, might as well suffer more.
No, that's the wrong approach. If someone murder one person a month, he say, you know what, since I'm a murderer, let me murder 5. He comes to the judge says, you have 10 counts against you. Murder, rape, stealing, fraud, this, robbery, violence. Say, well, I might as well, if I'm already a murderer, I might as well do it. No, for everything else, you get a separate punishment. Remember, Hashem doesn't have limitation. Over here, there's a limit how much you can punish a person. A person can live 100 years. You can put him in jail 100 years and he dies. There's no more. You cannot give him 5,000 years in prison. It won't be made of God 300 years, whatever. Do you think he cares if he was 20 years or he's 70 years old? He'll die within 20 years. So it doesn't really matter 20 or 300. But in Shamayim, it's not like that. Every karet, every stoning, it's a separate ceremony. Again and again and again. It can be 1 billion times. So a person that accumulates death, if you have to pay it one day, you might as well stop. Stop. Cut it by 50%, then go to 100%. Cut whatever you can. It's as long as we are alive, we can correct. And now it's the month of Elul. Hashem is close to us. It's plea bargain. Bargain. 3 weeks. Tshuva, regret, shame, appreciate, praying to Hashem, talking to Hashem in your own language. Doesn't have to be in Tfilat Shmona Esrei. It can be in a car. You can be on the street. You can be sitting there out there smoking a cigarette. And you say, you know what, Hashem, I really went too low. Maybe this lecture woke me up. Help me out. Help me to come close to you. Help me. It's hard. You know me. It's hard for me to learn. The drugs messed me up. I can't do anything. I cannot focus. My parents against me. Where will I start? I promise you, you'll have one miracle after the other. First, you have to prove that you want. פתח לי פתח כפתחו של מחט, ואפתח לך כפתחו של אולם. Open me in the size of a needle, I'll open you the whole universe. Just do the first step. Not all the time wait for people to do for you. Do it yourself. Sacrifice. Cancel your Facebook page. Cancel bad website that you go in. Do something. Month of Elul. Say, you know, Hashem, this is my sacrifice to you. You know how hard it is for me. You know, Hashem, I'm not smoking anymore. You know, Hashem, that's it. Only kosher from now on. You know. Everyone do something. If you're not going to do it now, believe me, Mashiach come next year, Iran. But the next thing you find yourself, it's too late. Then what you're going to do? You're going to say to Hashem, okay, give me a chance now. אין מקבלים גרים ובעלי תשובה בימות משיח. Once the Mashiach come, you cannot become a Baal Tshuva anymore. It's too late. You missed the train. Yeah. How do you know if Hashem forgives you? Hashem always forgives you if you do the right thing. It's guaranteed. You do the right thing, Hashem will forgive you. You do tshuva, you regret, you ashamed, you do vidui every day, confession when we daven, you keep the mitzvot, you stop making the sins, you ask Hashem to forgive you, you are guaranteed to be forgiven. Why? Because the issue of Hashem is to benefit all his children. And if a person does it right, the problem is that today we have fakers, Baalei Tshuva. They only do what it's easy, not what really needs to be done. You understand? Or they pretend they're religious. They put the custom from the outside, but they're very rotten from the inside. So the point is to be really a Baal Tshuva. Really. You understand? And remember, even if you're not a Talmid Chacham, there's no obligation to be a Talmid Chacham. It's a great benefit. It's a great bonus. You get a lot of reward extra than an ordinary person, yes. But it's what's better, to be a Talmid Chacham corrupted, or someone that is a total ignorant, doesn't know that much, but he listens to Hashem and have strong emunah? Better to be tzaddik than a Talmid Chacham. Talmid Chacham that is not tzaddik has a much bigger problem. You know the whole Torah and you behave like a dog? It's very bad. You understand? Greedy, money,